Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Expert Media Show. This is your host and teacher, Tony Leidig, and this is session 1. Today's sponsor is Perfect Profit Plan. This is my first course for 2020. I'm really excited about teaching it. It's all about research. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to be sharing today in Expert Media Show is kind of foundational related to this new training that's going to be launching later this week. Let's get into the meat of today. If you are struggling in your business, the primary reason for that is, in many cases, you're not clear in your objectives. And all of us at one time or another have certainly been guilty of shiny object syndrome. Lord knows I have. I mean, I'll tell you, just over the couple of holiday weeks there, and really formulating what I wanted to do for the new year, I was all over the place, man. I mean, I did a couple brain dumps just to get it all out of my head, and it was just crazy. It literally physically impossible for me to do everything that I would love to do. Just physically impossible, not enough hours in the day. And I know that I'm not alone in that. Many of us struggle with that same kind of thing. And even though my business is successful, there are also indicators of struggle. I mean, some of you are aware of some of the things that Chris and I have gone through with our retail ventures, and it hasn't been pretty by any stretch of the imagination. And so one of the things that we've realized and that I'm really getting hardcore in is that I have to be absolutely clear on what I want to accomplish with my life, with my business, with my relationships, with my family, so on and so forth. And so it's imperative that we get clear on what we want to do, be, have, and say. And quite frankly, if you really dig into why people aren't succeeding, why they're struggling, or why they keep trying this and this and that and figuring out what's going to stick, kind of like checking spaghetti, how you throw it up against the wall and see if it sticks or not to tell if it's done. Most of us just aren't done. We don't even know what in the world we're doing. And so we go from this thing to that thing. And really, if we're honest with ourselves, we're just really lacking the discipline to make a decision. And research, one of the reasons I love it so much is because it can be applied to anything to produce answers. It doesn't matter what it is. But again, research is a dark hole, black hole, because you can waste hours and hours and hours and days and weeks of time for what purpose? I mean, you're learning a lot of stuff, you discover a lot of cool things, but is all of that stuff really going to help you get to where you want to be? Successful in your business or whatever it is. So without direction, research is nothing more than just distraction. And I can distract with the best of them. I mean, I am a professional at that at times. At least it certainly seems that way. Do genealogy research and you'll discover how distracting it can get real quickly. Talk about rabbit holes. It can be pretty crazy. So once you're clear on where you want to go, whether it's a hobby, whether it's your business, whether it's relationships, whether it's interaction with your family, whether it's remodeling your house, doesn't really matter. Once you're clear on what you want to do, and you need to do whatever it takes to get clear, then give it everything that you've got and don't stop for any reason. And this is where a lot of people fail. They try something, it gets hard, and then they quit. And then they try something else, and then it gets hard, and then they quit. And we suffer from grass is always greener, or the good intention syndrome. And so, we have the best of intentions, especially this time of year. It's a new year, so we're going to lose weight. We're going to get in shape. We're going to do X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. And maybe we go good and strong for a couple of weeks and then boom, it's all gone again, and we just give up. And we can't do that. Just this morning, I was scrolling down through Facebook, and a friend of mine, Adam Urbanski, made this post. And at first I'm like, what the heck are you talking about, dude? But the more I read it, I realized that he was correct. And I've been guilty of saying this exact same thing. And we're going to talk more about this in a moment, where, I have often said that one of the keys to success is to be passionate about whatever it is that we're involved in. And that is true. Okay. However, we can't just pick something that we're passionate about and turn it into a business. What if what you're passionate about, nobody cares? Like, what if that's the case? Then, okay, I'm really passionate about X, but nobody else cares. So it isn't just about being passion driven or passionate, but that is required. As you're going to see, and as we dig into this a little bit further, it's about finding something that you can relate to and connect to. And then after you've done that, get passionate about it. Like, stoke that fire. Okay. But you can't just say, well, let's see, what am I interested in? What am I passionate about? Because in reality, that passion may not take you anywhere except wasting time or being a distraction or whatever the case may be. There's a lot that I'm passionate about. If you know me at all, I like a lot of things. But one of the things that I found is you just can't do it all. It's impossible. So you absolutely cannot just pick what's popular because it's popular. A lot of people do that. Well, I want to build an online business. So let's see. Let's do some research to see what's popular right now. Ooh, Kindle Books is really popular right now. E-com is really popular right now. Ugly Mugs is popular right now. Bitcoin is popular right now. Fill in the blank is popular right now. I mean, I don't really know about it, but I'm sure I can learn, right? And then we focus on that and we spend the $2,000 on a course because somebody convincingly sold it to us. And we get into it and like, oh, wow, this seems hard, and we're out. We're out $2,000. We're out the time that we wasted, so on and so forth. And so picking what's popular or because somebody else is really good at communicating the benefits of what they're doing isn't a good reason. You just can't do that. You also cannot compare yourself to others. Here's the thing. You're not me and I'm not you. We're each unique. I could take my entire business and hand it to any one of you and say, well, here you go. I mean, I made $500,000 last year, so you're set. And you'll be like, I don't know what to do with it. I can't teach like you do. I'm not interested in the topics you're interested in. You could try, fake it till you make it, but I can guarantee you won't make the same money that I did because you're not me. And that doesn't make me special. It just means that you're not me and I'm not you. A lot of the folks that we learn from, I mean, I feel like a dummy compared to some of these guys that are cranking $1 million plus a month. Almost feel like I should worship them or something every time I'm around them just because they've got something figured out. And it's real easy. I mean, I've played the compare game myself. It's real easy to look at what others are doing and say, I just can't do that, so I'm not even going to try. Well, the great news is that you don't have to. You have to be the best version of you. That's it. That's one of the big secrets. Be the best version of you. Mark is here and he's at the bottom of my questions list, so I'm going to pick on him. One of the things that Mark does is he works with fiberglass horses, the cool fancy ones that you see sitting around towns, or, there's other animals as well. And he's an expert at that. He's been involved with that for years. He repairs them. He can sculpt them. He can do all that kind of stuff. I can't do any of that. I guess I could probably learn, but why would I? Like, why would I want to learn when Mark already does it? Like, he's already good at it. And it's not to say that we can't be interested in or do something that someone else is doing. I've said for years and years, one of the keys is to find holes in what other people are doing. I mean, do you think I was the first person to teach on public domain back 15 years ago? No. There were a couple of folks that were on the market before me, and they were killing it. I mean, just crushing it. And so what I did was I just looked for stuff that they weren't teaching related to public domain. And there was a lot, turns out. So I just took the holes that they had in their teaching and drilled down deep into those holes and was able to leverage it into a really cool business model. And it works. And now, interestingly enough, none of those other guys are teaching on public domain. You can't even buy those courses anymore. I mean, they're 15 years old, so why would you want to? But, I established myself as an expert because I put in the time. And that's extremely important. You also cannot doubt yourself or your choices, which is kind of related to comparison, but I'm amazed at how many people struggle with self-doubt. I did, still do at times, and we vacillate on our choices. Should I or shouldn't I? Should I open this toy store or shouldn't I open this toy store? Should I teach on this topic? Maybe people aren't going to like it. I mean, I think it's interesting, but I don't know if other people will. I mean, I'm not inoculated to this stuff any more than you are, but you can't move forward in a successful way with constantly doubting yourself, constantly questioning your choices. I've had people ask me, well, what if I make the wrong choice? Then stop and make another one. Boom, done. I'd love to tell you that I make perfect choices every single time. I just don't. That's part of learning, growing, maturing as a person and as a business owner. You also cannot chase all the things. I like to believe that I can, and women especially seem to be better at juggling multiple things compared to men. But the reality is you just can't. There's not enough hours in the day. Probably not enough money in your bank account to chase all the things and to do it justice. And this is really brought home to us. I've shared this story before, but this is really brought home to us a few years ago. We were one of the masterminds that we belonged to, Black Label, and we were in a hot seat, Kristen and I both. And the guy who was running the event, Tanner Larson, good buddy of ours, just really, he didn't mince words. I mean, he just let us have it, and that's why we were there. That's why we spend the money. And he went around the room, and a lot of the folks in the room were e-com, but some of them also do training. We were the only ones that have retail stores. But he went around the room and pointed at the different individuals who were there, and he's like, one business, one business, one business, one business. And then he gets to us and he's like, what, 5 businesses now? Is that how many you guys have? He's like, do you notice that there's a difference between you guys and everyone else? And I mean, it was like, yeah, but hold on a minute now. We have employees that are doing XYZ or whatever. And he's like, I don't care. You can't chase everything. You can't do it all. And we've never forgotten that. And we've still tried. We still tried to do it all. And for any number of reasons. And we just can't. And even now, I mean, I'm looking at different things that I want to learn. And you start ticking down through the list. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I just love the whole notion of 3D modeling and all of that. I love 2D animation. I love filmmaking. I love, I really want to get into music composition. And of course, teaching is my bread and butter. But then we have these soon to be just one retail store. And Kristen is building a new e-com store. And I mean, it's just on and on. We look at all this stuff and I'm like, I can't chase it all, as much as I want to. And I even get upset that I can't, but the reality is that I can't. And it just, other things suffer. I mean, here I am. Photography is one of my big loves, escapes, passions, whatever you want to call it. And last year I didn't shoot hardly any photos, except with my phone. It's crazy, right? I mean, $30,000, $40,000 worth of camera gear, and I'm taking pictures with a smartphone. And it really started to bother me and forced me to question why. Why am I not taking photos? Because I love it. Really energizes me. And the answer was simple. I'm chasing too much. I'm trying to do too many things. I'm distracted. Plus, 2019 was a crazy business year for us. So there was just a lot going on. And so part of our strategy for 2020 and part of what your strategy should be for 2020 is to simplify, get focused, get clear, and then make decisions on what you want to pursue. You're going to get better at it. I mean, that's just really part of it. You also cannot look for an easy button. I've talked about this a lot lately, and for good reason, because a lot of people seem convinced that they exist, and they just don't. And quite frankly, I'm really growing tired of getting emails from people that I know in my inbox that tells me that I can make $500 a day, $1,000 a day, and not have a product, not have a website, not drive traffic, not have a social media presence, not do any of that kind of stuff. But yet I'm going to make $500 to $1,000 a day. You just can't. It's impossible. I don't care what anybody says. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible to make $1,000 a day, but it's not easy. It requires a lot of work, a lot of focus and effort. And I'm not saying that you can't get there. I 100% believe that you can if you follow the strategies that I'm talking about here in this show today. Okay, you can get there. But there's no easy button to get you there. And if anybody tells you otherwise, they're full of it, and you should run the other direction. Here's the thing. People will buy based on hope, and you need to understand this. If you're going to get into selling at all, which you should, people buy based on hope. They want to believe that they can do something, and many people mistake the notion of investing in a course as the same thing as doing the course. Just because you spent money on a course to create something doesn't mean you instantly know how. You still have to put in the effort. You still have to put in the work. I do the same thing. I'm preaching to the choir here. It's at a different level and it costs more money sometimes, but I do the same thing, so I get it. Trust me. Creating videos. I have thousands and thousands of hours of videos, and professional photographer for years. And here I am starting a YouTube channel, and I'm like a dog in a new pan. Like, now what do I do? How do I get subscribers? I'm right there, right? There is no easy button. You got to put in the time. Like, I can't go from 543 subscribers, which is what I think I have right now, and boom, all of a sudden I have 15,000 overnight. Like, it's going to take a little while. I got to put in the time. I got to do the effort. And the same is true with you. It's why I teach methodology. Because methodology you can apply to anything. But I can't guarantee you'll make any money unless you apply yourself. I'm not you. I'm not there. I don't know what your work ethic is like, and so on and so forth. So if I'm passionate about something, it's about that, which I'm passionate about a lot of things. Now, here's another big truth. You absolutely can win. And chances are likely that you're already doing things that if somebody else were to see what you're doing, they would be gobsmacked. Like, holy cow, how in the world? Like, I see some of the art and the crafts and different things that many of my customers make. And because I'm friends with many of them on Facebook and Instagram and places like that. And I'm just blown away. And some of it I own. I mean, I've bought paintings and different things that different ones have sent me. And I'm blown away by what people have created. Many of you, I'm blown away by what you do. And part of it comes down to, maybe you don't quite understand the selling process. That's a learnable thing. Maybe you're not quite sure of the research process and finding the right audience. That's a learnable thing. Okay. But some of what you do, craft, art, different things like that, teaching, that's not so easy to learn. But yet you already know how to do it. I mean, it's just amazing to me. Just really, I want to challenge you to believe that you absolutely can win, because you can. Now, as I mentioned earlier, understand that it's not just about passion. You can, as I mentioned earlier, you can be passionate about something and, be one of 5 in the entire world. It's not going to get you very far in increasing your bank account. So understand this. Your interest, right here is the money slide, okay? Your interests combined with good research and relentless tenacity create a roadmap towards success. It doesn't create success. It creates the roadmap. Okay. In other words, you can make the decision. I live in Pennsylvania and I just looked outside and noticed that it's snowing. Hooray. So let's say, I'm done with this snow. I'm going to go to visit my friend Jay, who just happens to live in Arizona. Well, I can decide to go to Arizona all day long. I like Arizona. I've been there several times. But I can even produce a roadmap to get me, the GPS in the car will get me to Arizona, or I could print out a map if I wanted to, and that would get me to Arizona. But, if I don't get in the car and drive and put in the time that it takes to drive there, which is probably, 30 hours from Pennsylvania? Something like that, I would guess. Guess where I'm not going to get? To Arizona. Now, I could drive to DC and hop on a plane and fly to Arizona, and that gets me there faster, right? But I still have to take actions. And so that's where the interest, the good research, and the tenacity come into play that shows us a roadmap that gets us in the right direction. And sometimes we just don't know. That's why I constantly like learning. Even in topics at times that I'm not necessarily interested in, because it's amazing the truths that some people hold in one area of business, but it never occurs to them to apply it in a different area. It's like, I'll just use an example. So some of my customers love crocheting and needlepoint, different things like that, and they're amazing at it, like museum grade amazing. And the amount of work and time and effort that it requires to create something like that is just massive. Okay. But I take that same amount of time and effort to put into building courses and creating trainings and learning learning new software, or going out taking photos and fine tuning them after the fact. Like, that's where my areas of expertise are. And so I apply the same method to that. And the big difference is you're taking skills and qualities that you already have, like relentless tenacity. You can't create anything of quality without that. But you've just never really figured out how to apply research or relentless tenacity to selling the stuff you're making. Like, maybe you've just not quite put those dots together before. But to me, whenever you see, wow, I actually have created this, and people are willing to spend money, for what you've made, regardless of what it is, that's proof in and of itself that you have what it takes. It's just taking that understanding and applying it in a different way. Okay. And so I have this roadmap of sorts that I've put together that's really going to be the foundation for the profit plan training that I was talking about earlier. But first thing you want to start off with is a plan, okay? And from a research perspective, because that's what we're talking about here, research, you want to identify trends, interests, and problems and see how they align with the interests that you have, okay? And next, you're going to need a product of some sort. If you're selling something. Maybe you're selling yourself and you are the product, like a speaker would be a good example of that. But you need a product. The whole purpose of a product, whether it's digital or physical or a service, is to provide solutions to needs or problems. Now, the need or problem might just be entertainment. People want to be entertained. People want to feel connected or feel like they belong or whatever. Or maybe they, want to learn how to edit their photos, right? Whatever it is. Your product provides solutions to the problems that you identify in the plan part of your research. And then there's the platform. So it's one thing to have a great product. It's another thing to know where to sell it, how to deliver those solutions to people. You need a way of selling it. If it's a physical product, you'll need a website to sell it, or you need a retail store or something similar. If it's a digital product, you need a way to deliver it. Maybe it's videos, and so you would use Vimeo or YouTube or a self-hosted solution. So there's got to be some kind of a platform to deliver this solution, this product that you're offering. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be a product that you created, okay? It could be anything, I'm a big fan of arbitrage. Buy low, sell high. Chris and I do it all the time with auctions and all kinds of things. And so, the products are just stuff we're finding at auction or private collections or whatever. And then the platform, depending on what the product is, might be Facebook Marketplace. It might be another auction house. It could be eBay, right? So it really depends on the platform. And so that's where the research comes into play with your platform, is it helps to connect the plan with the product and then how to deliver it. Once you figure the platform out, then comes the promotion. That's where you communicate the benefits of your solution to your audience or to your buyers. Okay? You need promotion. And I might have mentioned this before, but like a lot of this research connection, as I mentioned, I do a lot of research, but I actually had a dream of where I saw all of this interconnected in a really cool way. And so in the promotion phase, it's important to understand what the trends are and what the interests are, what the problems are. But you also, in identifying those and creating your products and everything, have to make sure that your keywords, your stories that you're telling related to your solution align with what people are searching for, align with where the people are hanging out. If they don't, guess what? You could have the greatest product in the world and people won't even know that it exists. You could also have the crappiest product in the world and sell them like hotcakes. It's about connection and inserting yourself into the buyer's story. Okay, there's a real secret to that. And then, of course, profit, which is what we all want. And rightly so, right? Whenever we're creating solutions for others, regardless of what those solutions are, we deserve to be compensated for those solutions. So, and people are willing to pay, so that's justifiable. But once again, what do I charge? How do I collect that money? I mean, there's a lot of different things that play into the whole profit dynamic. So the beautiful thing about this approach is that the methodology can be applied to any business. I don't care what your business is. It will work regardless. Digital products, physical products, e-com, software as a service, service provider. One of my friends is a funeral home director. It works for him, right? It doesn't really matter what your business is. This methodology will work if you apply it. Now, one of the best ways to start your research process is using the autosuggest feature in search engines. I love autosuggest because ultimately what comes up is the result of a lot of data input. Google, or depending on what search engine you're using, is just sorting through. It's like, well, based upon, 20 million searches, a majority of people were interested in XYZ. Now, they can definitely, with their algorithms, influence results, and we won't get into that discussion. But it's still a great starting point. So the keyword to get the whole autosuggest thing going would be whatever you think you might want to do business-wise or product-wise or whatever the case may be. And so, Google, I just used as an example of how to make, okay? Turned up how to make French toast, buttermilk slime, a bow, gravy, paper airplanes, hard-boiled eggs, money online, money fast, and pumpkin seeds, which I thought that one was a little weird. How to make pumpkin seeds, be a pumpkin, poof, done, but most of us aren't pumpkins. I understand what it means. What it actually means is how, how do I take pumpkin seeds and turn them into something like I can eat, like roast them or whatever. That's what I'm pretty sure that's what it means. But you'll notice that how to make money online is there. How to make money fast is there, right? It's kind of interesting to me. Bing.com, of course, is another search engine, sort of. Amazon, I also typed in how to make friends and influence people. Of course, most of you are aware of that book. How to make money on stocks. Now, Amazon, granted, is physical products place, but they also have movies, they have books, they have all kinds of things. How to make it in the new music business. How to make millions with your ideas. There's money again. How to make yourself poop. Boom. So that sounds kind of weird and awkward to me. And by the way, these search results are not influence results. I did all of these in anonymous windows. Okay, so it's not being influenced by any of my search stuff. But if you think about it, a lot of people, especially if they're keto and taking a lot of protein, they may have problems with going to the bathroom. So I could definitely see that as a potential product. Not that I'm going to create it, but I can relate to it at times. Make money in stocks. How to make friends with the dark. Don't know what that means. How to make shit happen. Okay, which is actually a book series. And then there's YouTube. I typed in the same thing. How to make slime, how to make paper airplanes, how to make pancakes, bow out of ribbon, omelet, French toast. A lot of money, yes, but a lot of food. Slime without glue, how to make money online. So very interesting. Now, it's not to say, like, we can see these results. And by the way, there's also eBay and Etsy that you can do the same thing. So it's not to say that just because Autosuggest generated this list, then we can look at the list and say, oh, wow, there's some consistent things on here like Google and YouTube. How to make money is on both. But so is how to make French toast. I mean, that's kind of toward the top of the list. So maybe I could create a cookbook on making French toast. Maybe, but chances are likely, I'm not saying that you're going to not make any money doing that, but it's going to be a little bit different than, other choices. These are starting points. These are not end points, okay? This is step one in the 5-step process. We're just starting to look at some trends, which is really what Autosuggest is. It's a form of trend research, okay? But let's say that you're interested in sculpting. Okay, so let's flip over here to Google, and let's say that you're pretty decent at sculpting. Like using epoxy clay or epoxy sculpt, I guess it's actually called, or Sculpey or Fimo or one of those, right? And so you think, well, Tony really makes teaching courses look fun, and I know a lot about sculpting, so. Wonder if there's something that people are interested in related to sculpting that perhaps I could create a course for. That's a very valid question. Okay, so we could do like how to sculpt a face, how to sculpt in Blender. So that's a 3D modeling software. How to sculpt a pumpkin, clay, just how to sculpt your body in Blender 2.8. How to sculpt a beard, how to sculpt marble, how to sculpt a head. So based on that, we can see that people are really interested in the human form for sculpting. Let's do the same thing, except instead of how to sculpt, how to draw. How to draw a dog, a rose, a cat, a unicorn, okay, a turkey, a nose. That seems kind of random. Face, Christmas tree, hair. So you're starting to get an idea of what people are interested in, okay? This is part of the research that I do all the time. So we could say, okay, so how to draw a dog. That seems kind of cool. So we could click on that and see what some of our results are and, kind of dig into it. One of the things that you're going to find is, in many cases, a lot of information that's available online for free, okay? Now, you might think, yeah, but holy cow, there's all this stuff available for free. So how in the world am I going to create something that people would be willing to buy? remember what I said earlier about the easy button that people are looking for? Most of the time, like, they don't know that these sites exist. And so as a result, they don't even think to learn. I mean, I'll let you in a little secret. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Anything and everything that you want to learn how to do, I don't care what it is, you can find on YouTube. Anything and everything. Honestly, chances are likely that you could literally not buy another course and learn everything you need to learn on YouTube. Now, that isn't to say that it would necessarily be easy to find, because there's so much there, but it's there. I mean, there are times where there's something that I wanted to figure out how to do and figure it out quickly. I go to YouTube. I mean, why waste my time trying to fiddle with something when I can go to YouTube and find somebody else to show me how? And then, I turn around and teach you guys how to do it the next day. I've never done that ever this week. So let's go over here to good Lord, to Amazon. Type in how to draw. So, how to draw books for kids, how to draw cool stuff, anime, 9 to 12, how to draw cute stuff, manga, Pokemon. So definitely some interest there. If we go next step, for dogs, a lot of different options here. Okay. And so chances are likely that if we come over here to YouTube and type in how to draw a rose, a unicorn, a girl, a dog, a dragon, a person, eyes, anime for beginners, Naruto, which is a anime comic. And so you can see that there's definitely some interest there. So this is the kind of research that I always start with, whenever I'm interested in something. Wow, the snow is really putting it down. I didn't think we were supposed to get snow today. Huh. So this is where I start, if I'm researching an idea or, something that I think, where I see in Facebook comments or people send in questions or whatever the case may be, I will see these problems that are begging for solutions. It's like, oh, okay, well, let's see what kind of solutions are out there. Let's see what's already being done. And this is literally how I start. Okay. So there's a lot more, obviously, that we can talk about on this topic, but I just wanted to kind of give you a starting point in today's show so that you can start to experiment, get focused. One of the things that I like to do, I've shared before that I do a lot with Evernote, and that's true. I outline all my courses in Evernote and business ideas and all that kind of stuff. But for me personally, I also really enjoy having like an 8.5, 11 ruled notebook. I have one sitting next to me right now. And for me, it works really well to just jot down my ideas and kind of think through on paper first, because the dynamic is different writing it, on paper versus typing it into a software program. And so one of the things that I'd really encourage you with is to, if we're moving into the new year and you're looking for a change, or you really want to up your game or add an extra $500 a month or whatever the case may be, start thinking through what I shared today. Think through the 5 points that I shared: plan, product, platform, promotion, and profit. Think through those and see how you can apply them to your areas of interest, things that you see other people having problems with, and you're like, oh, I know what the answer is there, or why don't you try this, or whatever. And be curious to see where you end up with that.